Hello, my name is Michelle Bretherton and this is my video presentation for Assignment 2 for the course EDC 1200 on how might education mediate difference and dominance. The topic that I've chosen to discuss is the moving of Australia Day from January 26 to either February 13 or May 27. These dates have been spoken about since the national apology to the stolen generations was given to the Parliament of Australia from the Labor government in 2008, and May 27, which is the beginning of National Reconciliation Week. This was prompted by an article published in the Herald Sun on January 25, 2009, entitled "Move Australia Day to May," says Ron Barassi. Australia Day is a historical day in which the first fleet arrived in Sydney Cove in 1788. Although this is a day of celebration for us, it's a day of sorrow for the Indigenous people. In 1938, the celebrations of Australia Day were accompanied by a day of mourning by the Aboriginal people. In 1998, whilst we were celebrating, the Indigenous population held an Invasion Day commemoration marking the loss of the Indigenous culture. In 1992, there was a Survival Day concert held in Sydney, again in protest to the invasion of the British colonisation. For those of us with links to the British colonisation of the Australia Day, the day is a celebration, but for the Indigenous folks it is a day of mourning and of sorrow, and certainly not celebration. A young Tasmanian Aboriginal leader, Miss Mansell McKenna, told the rally outside Hobart's Parliament House in 2009, "To us it marks the start of assimilation, land theft, murder, poisoning and death. How can any reasonable person celebrate that?" In the article, there is a lean towards May 27 as the day to move Australia Day to. This was the day that Indigenous people were recognised to be equal to the Anglo-Saxon population of the country. Let me explain what National Reconciliation Week is and its significance. Every year, National Reconciliation Week occurs from May 27 to June 3. These dates were chosen from momentous occasions for the Indigenous peoples of Australia. May 27 is the anniversary of the 1967 national referendum where more than 90% of the population voted to remove clauses from the Australian Constitution which discriminated against Indigenous Australians. The referendum also gave Commonwealth Government the power to make laws on behalf of Aboriginal people. And the end of Reconciliation Week, June 3, marks the anniversary of the High Court's judgment in the 1992 Mabo case. This decision recognised the native title rights of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the original inhabitants of the continent, and overturned the myth of terra nullius, the belief that the continent was an empty, unowned land before the arrival of Europeans in 1788. In 1967, the first step was taken by recognising the Indigenous people's right in the community on the way to reconciliation. But it was not until 2008 when the leader of the Labor Party and Prime Minister Kevin Rudd introduced a motion for the apology to the Australian Indigenous peoples. Here is part of what was said. Mr Rudd called for reconciliation that would open up whole new possibilities for the future. Reconciliation across all Indigenous Australia. Reconciliation across the entire history of the often bloody encounter between those who emerged from the Dreamtime 1,000 generations ago and those who, like me, came across the seas only yesterday. Mr Rudd said Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, government and opposition, Commonwealth and state, needed to turn a new page and write a new chapter in our nation's story together. He also said, first Australians, first fleeters, and those who first took the oath of allegiance a few weeks ago, let's grasp the opportunity and craft a new future for this great land together, Australia. I think the activities I've geared for this are actually leaning towards students in upper primary, years 5 to 7. I would open a discussion about racism and what it means to be Australian. Does it matter what colour skin they have to be Australian? I'd like to get their thoughts on that. Next, I would break the kids up into small groups and conduct a brainstorm. What does reconciliation actually mean? and the students could construct a timeline of events from 1788 onwards with all the significant years for the Indigenous Australians. Also, some art activities. We could get the children to trace around their hands on construction paper, and then with the different prominent Aboriginal colour paints, do some cotton bud tip dot painting on their hands to finish with the very colourful hands. And I believe these could be used in the assembly for the reconciliation assembly that week. Also, let's get them to make didgeridoos out of old paper towel rolls and colour those up with cotton bud tips as well. And they could practice playing them to make some music so they could do a little mini concert at the assembly. I would also get the students to write a Dreamtime story or poem and what they think it meant to be Aboriginal all those years ago. And I would also get them to then have a look at what it means to be Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander today. Along with colouring in, there would be also the 3 flags I would get them to colour in: the Australian flag, the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flags. Then we would conduct a Reconciliation Week assembly to acknowledge and recognise this week. To be started with the raising of the Australian, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags. Next we could do a Welcome to Country ceremony conducted by a local elder. Then play the national anthem, but not the standard national anthem, the one that you can get that has the didgeridoo in the background. And after the assembly I would have the community morning tea with all the Indigenous peoples who have come to support our school and their community. Come and listen, get the kids to listen to their stories, talk to them, get to know them, find out what makes them tick. Full reconciliation is a long way away, this I understand. However, 2 important steps have been taken on this long route. The 1967 referendum to recognise them as equal, and the apology, a very important part. Whilst we may not have made the mistakes, we can say sorry to those who have been affected by them. This journey must continue so that future generations are shown that difference is not a deficit, it's something to embrace and learn a lot about. Thank you.
To the people from this land, they cry, their children were stolen, they still wonder why. Sing, sing loud, break through the silence, sing sorry across this land. Children were stolen, now no one knows why. Sing, sing loud, break through the silence, sing sorry across this land. Sing, sing loud, break through the silence, sing sorry across this land. We sing with our hearts, respect for each and every one, together with hope burning strong. Sing, sing loud, we've broken the silence, let Sing